Coco Gauff admits she feels better after Jannik Sinner, Frances Tiafoe's million-dollar one-point slam fail. A new addition to the Australian Open's opening week turned Rod Laver Arena into a high-stakes environment. The million-dollar one-point slam shortened entire matches into a single point, pitting Grand Slam champions, including Coco Gauff, Jannik Sinner, and others, against one another for a seven-figure prize. With rock, paper, scissors deciding who served and no room for mistakes, the exhibition quickly delivered upsets and the kind of viral moments that the tennis community loves. Coco Gauff, Jannik Sinner, and others face major upset at the Australian Open one-point slam. Scheduled for Wednesday, January 14th, the million-dollar one-point slam was billed as a winner-takes-all exhibition designed to set the tone at Melbourne Park before the main draw. 48 players took part, including 24 professionals alongside state champions and celebrity wildcards, all chasing the $1 million prize and a Kia EV3 on Rod Laver Arena. A pre-point game of rock, paper, scissors determined who would serve. Amateurs received 2 serves, and professionals such as Sinner, IGA Swiatek, and Gauff were restricted to 1. For WTA World number 3, the format proved unforgiving. Under the one-serve rule, she hit the net, handing world number 70 Donna Vekic the match even before she needed to play a proper shot. Given her serve statistics over the past 2 seasons, the match was an uncomfortable way for Gauff's night to end. More $1 million Australian Open event involving Coco Gauff, Jannik Sinner, and more leaves Nick Kyrgios feeling nervous. However, she wasn't alone in losing the match on serve, as Sinner, the 2-time defending Australian Open champion, also made the same mistake against New South Wales amateur Jordan Smith. Later in the evening, Frances Tiafoe, known for his explosive serves, single-faulted in his showdown with Swiatek. When the Australian Open's official Instagram account posted a reel of Sinner's missed serve, she dropped a wry comment under the video. "I feel better about myself now," faced with tears of joy, shifting the tone from pure shock to humor. She then shared a post on X after both Sinner and Tiafoe had lost similarly, writing, "I feel better about missing my serve now that Jannik and Foe did," loudly crying face #NotAlone. The Australian Open replied to Gauff's tweet, adding the clips of all 3 players losing the match on their serve. For a top 3 player who had just lost to Vekic on a single mistake, seeing 2 fellow stars suffer the same fate clearly eased the pain. More, Jannik Sinner receives concerned pleas from fans after WTA player reveals really bad problem in Australia. Jordan Smith bags the $1 million prize money. Smith, a 29-year-old New South Wales state champion, came through community qualifying to earn his place in the draw. Over the course of just 6 points, he defeated Aussie rules star Bailey Smith, Brazilian pro Laura Pigossi, Sinner, world number 4 Amanda Anisimova, Spain's Pedro Martinez, and finally Taiwan's Joanna Garland to lift the trophy. His title brought the promised $1 million Australian dollar payday and a new Kia car, while Garland's own path to the final included back-to-back wins over Alexander Zverev and Nick Kyrgios. Carlos Alcaraz, Swiatek, Gauff, Naomi Osaka, Daniil Medvedev, Felix Auger-Aliassime, Jasmine Paolini, and Kyrgios all appeared in the one-point slam, sharing the stage with state champions and celebrity entrants in front of a full Rod Laver Arena. The event sat alongside music acts, autograph stages, and other fan activities designed to keep Melbourne Park busy well before the main draw. With the Australian Open set for January 18th, the one-point exhibition worked as a practice session as well as an entertainment stage for the fans. Coco Gauff and the weight of 1 point. The tennis world has always loved its pressure points. The moments when the racket feels heavier, the court narrower, the crowd louder. Championships are often remembered not by the hundreds of points played, but by the single one that tipped everything over the edge. So when the idea of a $1 million one-point slam entered the conversation, an exhibition concept so ruthless it reduced the sport to its barest nerve, it felt like tennis daring itself to blink. And blink it did. When Jannik Sinner and Frances Tiafoe walked away from the spectacle without the prize, the loss echoed far beyond the scoreboard. 1 point, 1 swing, 1 decision made in a fraction of a second. $1 million evaporated into thin air. Somewhere else on the tour, Coco Gauff watched, listened, and quietly exhaled. Later, she admitted it plainly. She felt better. Not relieved in a cruel way. Not triumphant. Just lighter. The myth of the one perfect moment. Tennis culture loves the mythology of the clutch player. The idea that greatness is proven in a single, defining instant. Match point. Break point. Championship point. It's a seductive narrative, especially in an era of viral highlights and social media clips that compress careers into 10-second reels. But Coco Gauff has grown up inside that myth. She was 15 when the world decided she was ready. 16 when expectations hardened into something sharp. By 18, every loss felt like a referendum on her future. She learned early that tennis doesn't just test your forehand, it tests your relationship with time. You are always either too young to lose or too old to be forgiven for it. So when she saw two of the men's game's biggest stars gamble everything on one point, no rhythm, no comeback arc, no slow burn, something about it felt off. Not wrong. Just revealing. Because tennis was never meant to be reduced to a coin toss dressed up as courage. Watching the miss. Jannik Sinner is ice and precision, a player who builds pressure the way winter builds cold. Quietly, inevitably. Frances Tiafoe is fire and charisma, all momentum and emotion, the kind of competitor who turns crowds into accomplices. Different styles, different energies, same result. A miss. The ball didn't land where it needed to. The point ended. The money vanished. The crowd gasped, then applauded, then moved on. Coco noticed what happened next. Life went on. No ranking points lost. No legacy rewritten. No trophy taken away. Just a strange silence where $1 million might have been. That's when it hit her. If that didn't define them, then maybe her own losses didn't have to define her either. Feeling better isn't feeling superior. When Coco said she felt better, she wasn't celebrating anyone else's failure. Athletes understand the fragility of competition too well for that. What she felt was perspective. The kind that only comes when you watch someone else stand where you've stood emotionally. She has lost matches she was supposed to win. Matches where the internet decided she choked. Matches where one double fault, one mistimed swing, one brave but wrong choice became the headline. The one-point slam stripped away the illusion. It wasn't that Sinner or Tiafoe failed. It was that the format itself exposed how unreasonable it is to ask any athlete to be perfect on command. Tennis players don't train for one point. They train for patterns. For endurance. For problem-solving over hours, not seconds. Coco realized that her own journey, full of detours, growing pains, and public missteps, was actually closer to the truth of the sport than any $1 million gamble ever could be. And that felt grounding.